I'm not kidding. This is literally the IKEA scene from Fight Club. I've never really understood why women spend so much money on beauty products and services. I mean, I get there's a societal pressure and all that, but at a certain point, you kind of have to wonder, is this really worth it? Is this actually improving my situation? Maybe it is. I don't know. I haven't exactly done that. Fun fact, I have never spent money out of pocket on a haircut. Up until I was 17, my dad would bring me to this place in Hyde Park. And then after that, I guess he was done, I don't know, trying to force me to look neat and composed. I guess by that point I was close enough to an adult that he didn't see the need to make me do that against my will. I don't know. I just know that the last time I had to do that was in February of 2014. Then I grew really long hair from then until about November of 2015 when I started cutting it myself with scissors and such. Then went progressively shorter over the years until May of 2021. I finally just shaved it all off when I realized it was over. Rogaine wasn't going to come to save me. I've gone on long enough about me. This article is about I couldn't understand why I was saving so little. Then I tallied all my beauty expenses by Katie Gatti Tassin. And this illustration says it all. Price tags on the hair, the nails, the blush, the eyebrows, the eyelashes. Again, I personally never understood the appeal. Maybe that's because I haven't, or maybe it's because most of my stuff is all DIY. Obviously, I just shave my head every other day. I trim my beard every few days. I do it myself, but I digress. Anyway, let's get into the article. After graduating from college in 2017, no, I should do this in the female voice. After graduating from college in 2017 and making my first foray into full-time employment, it didn't take long to notice I badly needed to get a better handle on my expenses. I had a good job, a roommate, and an affordable car, so I had to dig deeper into my spending. Despite living comfortably within my means in many ways, there was one area where my outlays were proportionally staggering. All the products and services I bought in order to look good. Yeah, that's definitely going to eat up a chunk of your income if you're into that. I mean, I get at a certain point wanting to have a certain level of quality, especially if you're unable to do it yourself. Certain level of quality, I get, but if it's not life or death, I don't really see the point. Strong successful male on YouTube. I I remember he once said, "Well, it's a good thing that women do take care of themselves and make themselves look presentable like that. I can understand to a certain point, but also, I don't care about nails or whether the hair looks particularly good or not, or well structured. I don't care about eyelashes or eyebrows and such. In fact, I actually think the whole nails thing is. Ugh, why would anyone want those talon like nails, man or woman? I actually want to know. You let me know in the comments down below whether you're a woman who wants to explain why you would actually want those, or if you're a man who actually thinks that they're particularly good. You let me know in the comments down below. Again, you do you. If you have the money and you want to do this, by all means, I can't tell you not to. I can't stop you because I'm just some guy on the internet. Though I will say, if I were in a relationship, I would not give her money for that. She'd have to pay for it herself. That's just me. Let the hate flow in the comments down below. Oh no, he has some issue with that. Well, I have my preferences. Everyone is entitled to their preferences, but everyone has to accept the consequences of holding firm to those preferences. Getting back to the article at long last, the first time I tallied those expenses, I thought my calculator had added an extra zero. I was spending $200 every 3 months for my cut and color. 115 a month on eyelash extensions and eyebrow threading, $100 a month on manicures and pedicures, and $500 a year on makeup. That averaged out to over $320 a month at a time when I was taking home about $1,500 every 2 weeks. In short, I was working more than a full month each year to look the part of a young woman in Dallas, where I lived and worked. None of the personal finance books and blogs I frequented ever mentioned these expenses. Why weren't my favorite money writers covering how to budget for beauty or cope with a hair highlighting routine gone wrong? The simple answer is most of them were men. Yeah, I'm gonna guess most of them are written by men for men. And a lot of men are probably simps who are too scared to actually point this out and be like, well, maybe you could cut back on all those beauty products. I'll tell you what. Honestly, I think you look perfectly fine without them. And then there are probably going to be some men who see their girlfriend or wife without the stuff, and they're like, whoa! I'm sorry. I had to do the Hank Hill impression because he made the most sense for this, I guess. But honestly, I'm not afraid to say that maybe over the top nails are a money hole. Like, what do you actually gain from that? Now, men can be wasteful with money too. I'm not going to pretend that all men are financial geniuses. No, a decent amount of them are fucking morons. When it comes to money, we can be wasteful. I'm not gonna lie. Like me personally, you could argue, oh, you wasted $530 on a Nintendo Switch 2. Well, I wouldn't really put it as wasted because my tax refund covered the majority of it. I'm not going to say the exact amount, but yeah, you could argue that. I don't see it as a waste because I wanted to future proof my video gaming so that I could get the newer games when those come out. I decided that I wanted them to run better. I wanted to be able to play the new Mario Kart game. Oh, and my Joy-Cons on my Switch 1 were drifting, or one of the buttons on the right one was a little iffy. I had had that system for over 8 years at that point, and it was time for an actual upgrade. Not like the going from the Switch to the Switch OLED, which would only have been an upgrade if I were playing in handheld mode, which I was not. So I decided it was worth it. Plus, I traded in the Switch 1 and some other stuff, and I was able to get a micro SD express card that I can no longer, because the older SD cards were no longer usable with the Nintendo Switch 2. Not even for saving screenshots and such. I would have just used the one I was using at that point for that, but I had to make a choice. And I decided I'm going to use the trade credit towards that because GameStop didn't have the Switch 2 Pro controller in stock, which I was able to order the next day. It arrived. I'm very happy to be playing it. But getting back to the whole point about the wastefulness of this, I only spent $18.90 out of pocket for the Pro controller when all was said and done. But yeah, men can be wasteful with video games they never get around to, experiences that disappoint or maybe don't pan out the way they wanted to if they take a woman on a date that doesn't go well, or who they should have realized wasn't really interested in them in the first place. Look, it's if you really enjoy this stuff, by all means, go ahead. I'm not going to try and stop you. I'm not trying to shame women for beauty trends and such because, again, people of both sexes can be very wasteful with their money. You know what? Actually, men do waste their money on things like fancy haircuts when they could just do it themselves, or if they are balding and they don't just have the nerve to simply shave their heads and move on. Yeah, you could argue that's them being wasteful on beauty products. Oh, hair restoration solutions. That's a thing men can waste their money on. See? Both sexes can be equally stupid with this kind of thing. Everyone's an idiot. Except me. You know why? Because I simply shave my head every other day. I spend about shy of $30 a month for the blade after taxes. But I think if I clean it right, I can actually make it last longer than the 1 month that Freebird says it can be useful for. You know what? Let's get back to the article before I go on another insane tangent. Excuse me. I decided it was time to hop off what I call the hot girl hamster wheel, the litany of recurring expenses necessary to be conventionally attractive. When you're on the wheel, every dollar spent is a commitment to spending more in the future because most of these services have built in maintenance costs, like replacing old gel nail polish or correcting the color of unsightly grown out roots. And here's a picture of her in 2019 at a hair salon where she found out she was spending over a month of her annual take home pay on beauty expenses, probably over the course of the year. So, yeah, that's her mirror selfie there. You can see her with all those stuff in her hair to do that. Part of the challenge of renegotiating the terms of my agreement with the beauty industry was parsing what I was doing for myself and what I was doing out of a vague sense of obligation. I told myself for years that my routines were for me, but upon reflection, this explanation was suspect. What were the chances that my unique self expression just so happened to align almost perfectly with the beauty standards all around me? It's like the IKEA scene in Fight Club. I'm not kidding. This is literally the IKEA scene from Fight Club. For those of you who haven't seen it, that's where the narrator is basically explaining how his whole personality revolves around IKEA furniture. Something, and Tyler Durden is like, they have you working jobs you hate to buy shit you don't need. I'm sorry, this just has me thinking Fight Club IKEA scene. God, I want to watch Fight Club right now. I should, after I record this video, I should just be like, fuck it. I'm watching Fight Club. Schedule be damned. I was gonna watch Jaws tonight, but I was like, nah, I wanna get more YouTube stuff done in the hopes of maybe having a little more video game time too with my Switch 2. But yeah, that's okay. Enough about that. Let's get back to the article. The truth is, I was doing it for me, for me, but not in the way I thought. I was doing it because the results of the treatment it garnered was personally advantageous. So you were doing it to impress other women around you, conform to beauty standards. Yeah. If any men actually care about all of this, if you're like SSM and you believe that they should make themselves more presentable like this, you let me know in the comments down below. Adhering to beauty norms unlocks real benefits. Oh, there's a whole article about that. We are going to have to look at that another day. Particularly for women, studies show that attractive people get more attention from teachers and mentors and enjoy better job offers. Um, there's another type of attention, only from, I mean, depending on the teacher or mentor, I think they should focus more on the substance of that because, okay, there is a bit of a halo effect. Like I said in another video, looks are a starting point, though. Looks should be the least of the concerns when it comes to something like that. Although there is an actual halo effect. A study published in the Journal of Economics and Business in 2023 found that good looking bank CEOs take in over $1 million more in total compensation on average than their less attractive peers. So the Chads make more money than the Chuds. Got it. No, wait, I just realized, isn't that discrimination? Like, how exactly does that work? If it's literally based on looks and has nothing to do with how much money you bring in because of that, isn't that, I don't know, discrimination, which is, I don't know, illegal on that particular front? Because I actually had an ethics professor who said that discrimination alone is not always an awful thing. Like, if you're discriminating against moldy leftovers in favor of not moldy leftovers, that's one thing. Honestly, I would actually completely agree with that because moldy leftovers will literally give you food poisoning, whereas not moldy leftovers will not do that. Like, that is perfectly reasonable to discriminate on the basis of. It's when it comes to human beings and things like that that obviously it's bad, but I digress. In a statement that will surprise no one, my investments in being a well groomed woman, blonde hair, manicured nails, artificially extended eyelashes, yielded dividends. I'd grown accustomed to positive attention, which is why deviating felt risky. But ultimately, I wagered that I would earn a better return on my hard earned income by investing it in the tax sheltered safety of my Roth IRA than in $50 vitamin C serum for my skin. Just eat foods that have vitamin C, or take vitamin C supplements if your doctor says you need them. I knew I was fortunate to be able to make this choice at all. Pursuing beauty ideals may feel burdensome at times, but these services are prohibitively expensive for many women. It was time to extract myself from the hot girl hamster wheel one luxury at a time. I ditched the artificial eyelashes, decided that naked nails were fine, and canceled my facials and spray tans. Though it's impossible to know for sure, I never noticed any professional or personal ramifications from my righteous abstention. Probably because that would be discriminating on the basis of looks and such. Or you were just doing a good enough job that they didn't care. And here she is. I guess this is after she ditched all the false lashes, spray tans, and gel manicures. The financial benefits were real and instantaneous. But even more striking was how much time and mental energy I regained when I no longer tethered to a chore wheel of premium aesthetic upkeep. You know, I actually felt pretty similarly when I first shaved my head and let go of the idea of having hair, especially after seeing the bald patches under the light in the video playback. So I can kind of relate a little here. Just letting go of the dead weight is probably for the better across the board. And I found that I also like trimming my beard down to a light amount that is still there, but also isn't exactly isn't so bushy. I find that makes a lot more sense than having a really long beard or growing out hair to anything that is visible. I think you can see here, you can see some of the growth patterns here on the light. You see that? I don't care that you just saw them, and I'm not going to feel so bad about seeing it on camera compared to 5 years ago. See, this is why Master Tenzin in The Legend of Korra described the as both humbling and freeing. There was only one area where I struggled to divest, my blonde hair. Remember, I was in Dallas at the time. As the years wore on, I realized my internalized preference for blondness was also tied up with class. Wait, so you're not naturally blonde? Okay, let's go back up. Up, you can see the roots here. You can see where it changed, just like what was it? Who was it? Black Widow in Avengers Endgame, where you could see the natural red that had grown out after that. I guess she never cut the blonde part off that she dyed before Infinity War and then after Endgame. I mean, during Endgame, during the time jump of Endgame, she never cut her hair. That's why Black Widow looks the way she does in Endgame. But yeah, you get the idea. I mean, what exactly is it about Dallas that requires you to have blonde hair? I mean, this is also something I've never understood about hair. Why would you want to dye your hair any other color than the natural one it is? I mean, I get it if you want to hide the gray spots or something like that. Anyway, let's get back to the article. Although only 2% of the global population possess naturally blonde hair, between 30% and 40% of women in the West bleach their way there. Anyone who's ever tried to maintain a bleaching routine understands just how much time and capital intensive this aesthetic choice is. Artificial, salon quality blondness signals that while you really possess in the absence that what you really possess in the absence of naturally blonde hair, time and money. Intriguingly, researchers at the University of British Columbia's Sauder School of Business found in 2016 that nearly half of female CEOs for S&P 500 companies and over a third of female US senators are blonde. An analysis of how men respond to women leaders found that golden hair magically softened what seemed bitchy coming from a brunette. I thought the stereotype was that blondes were dumb and brunettes were smart. I mean, I have no idea how this perception works, but I think if you're being obnoxious or annoying, I judge you not by the hair color of your hair, but by the content of what you're saying or how your voice sounds. There's no hard and fast rule for these expenses, but spending more each month on beauty and personal care than you're saving is probably a sign that your future is being imperiled by a goal that's unattainable by design. Beauty is the form of capital women are taught to value most, so it's easy to assume these investments are worthwhile. But unlike actual capital, which typically grows with time, beauty is a depreciating asset with rising maintenance costs. Don't get me started on all the anti-aging products that promise the impossible. Oh, believe me, I feel the exact same way about hair restoration solutions. Actually, there's a particular reason that I had the protagonist in my book over here, Foresight. I intentionally wrote her to have a short haircut because she wanted something easy to manage on the road. Regardless of whether you opt for a lower maintenance hairstyle or stick with acrylic nails, it's worth interrogating what you're getting in return for the money spent and whether the opportunity cost is worthwhile. After all, what's really driving our participation in these norms? It's probably a belief that paying for these things will ultimately make our lives better, that these goods and services will help to make us safe, secure, happy, and healthy, that we'll get the job, attract or keep the partner, and look the part. But financial stability can make you feel safe, secure, happy, and healthy. Why not cut out the middleman, spending on beauty, and invest in our futures directly? I agree. Maybe if you want to save a little money in the short run, you can try shaving your head for a good cause. Maybe go for that if you want to make it seem more noble. And then let the savings pile up instead of spending on. This is not financial advice, by the way. In fact, I'm actually not going to tell you what to do with investing. Maybe talk to a financial expert once you have the money. Save up the money first that you would have spent on that, or work fewer hours at your job if you want to do that. If what was it? Putting aside that money makes it, or work fewer hours at your job if you are able to cut that cost out. So that's another thing I've seen from other financial YouTubers. It's that spending spending money represents the number of hours you had to work at your job. I believe it was, what was her name? According to according to Nicole. Yeah. She said something about how it represents having to work more hours to pay for it. So I mean, that's also a thing you could do. I mean, you do you. This is all for you to decide what you want to do. Personally, I think I said, I believe I said it in my. I don't think I said this particular part in my video about why, if you're losing your hair, you should just shave your head and move on. But it'll also save you a lot of money. You know, if you want to beat the heat and save some money during the summer, by all means, maybe this is your sign to try the shaved head this summer and then save some money on the products and such. Look, if your plan is to just grow it back, you could always just hold on to what products you have and then start using them again when you reach the point where they actually make a difference or are genuinely necessary. But I mean, if you're going through hair loss or something, I'm not gonna try to tell you to look too much on the bright side if it's something like chemo or anything like that. But if it's male pattern baldness, which happens to most of us, or if it's something that isn't being caused by a medication or an external force like chemo, I would argue that maybe you should look at it as a blessing. Like, oh, I am free from having to go get haircuts. Or, oh, I don't have to spend money on this particular product for my hair. I do not have to go to the barber shop or the salon. But yeah, I can understand that one can be a little drastic for other people, especially if you're not put in the situation for it like me or other men who have male pattern baldness or women with alopecia like Jada Pinkett Smith. But maybe, I don't know, learn to accept your natural hair color, embrace signs of aging like Jamie Lee Curtis did with her graying hair. Maybe make yourself look neat and presentable with stuff you can do yourself with as little materials as possible. Like I said, for me, for my shaved head, shy of $30 a month for the replacement blade every month. Not a bad deal if I do say so myself. And then I have the trimmer that for my beard that I bought years ago. Actually, I could use the same product for that because I can just replace it with the clipper blade and the clipper guard. I literally only need one product to maintain this. But you know what? I think I've gone on long enough about this. You let me know in the comments down below what you think about all this, whether there's a whether it actually makes sense to. Okay, if you're a man who actually likes seeing all of this on a girlfriend or wife or a potential romantic partner, you let me know in the comments down below. If you're a woman who does all this and actually likes it and likes it of her own accord and isn't just doing it for the validation of others, like Katie here, you let me know in the comments down below. You explain it to me. Help me understand why you would pay for these. Or if you want to just call me a sexist pig for thinking it doesn't make sense, just like Johnny Cochran would say about Chewbacca living on Endor. You know what? Go ahead. You're just gonna help increase my engagement rate. Alright, that's gonna do it. Give this video a like. Subscribe for daily videos. I will see you soon.